All right, we're going to try this again. Hopefully everybody can come back over and you guys can find me. All right, how is it? Let me know. Let me know how the connection is, how you guys, if you can see me and if you can hear me. If not, we will redo this another time. So I'm just going to wait a minute. Is it better? Better. Much better, much better, better, better. Okay, yay! Okay. All right. Fabulous. We'll wait a few minutes to let everybody find us. How are you guys doing? 2021, day 2. Feels like day 10, day 30, day 50. But it's good to be with you guys. I wanted to do a Q&A and just answer some questions that the collective is having. I got like 500 questions, and I'm going to do this one a little bit different. So typically when I do Q&As, I'll go through the questions, and I'll just pull out 10, 15 questions. My guides told me to do it differently this time. They told me to literally do it on the spot. And so I'm just going to use my phone, and I'm going to just scroll down and answer questions very intuitively and on the spot. So I don't know what questions I'm going to answer, and therefore I don't know what's going to come through, but it's a much more fluid way of doing it. And it's a much more now moment way of doing it. So that's how we're going to do it. That's how I do it in my Patreon community. So it's how we're going to do it. So let's just start. There's so many questions. I'm going to try to answer as many as I possibly can. For those of you that are brand new to connecting with me in my work, when I answer questions, I'm answering them as me, but I'm connecting into higher dimensional light beings, and they're energetically providing information for me that I might not have otherwise. So they give me a lot of information that's from a much larger perspective than from my sort of ego mind personality perspective. Hold on one second. So I connect with the Galactic Federation of Light, and they're the ones that come in and give me some information. It's always from a much larger perspective. All right, so let's begin. Let us start. All right, so here's the first question from the Angelica Galaxy. Hi, Lorie. Thank you. I love you. I was wondering if you and or the Galactic Federation of Light could give us a picture or analogy of what just happened over the solstice portal now that we are through it. And what is going on now? I felt the magic on those days, but now I'm seeing people around me unchanged and wondering why. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is part of the human experience, right? There's a lot of expectation and attachment that we have to the experiences that we go through. And so when we build up an experience like the 1221 portal, solar flares, solar flashes, when we build it up and really are waiting for it and I can't wait for it and have these ideas around what's going to happen when we go through it, many times we can be disappointed, we can be frustrated, we can be like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be like. And so there are many of us that feel a massive shift. And there are many of us that do not feel a massive shift right now. One of the things to keep in mind is that even if your body has shifted into higher frequencies, which most of your bodies that are listening to this right now have shifted into higher frequencies, meaning your body has anchored higher frequencies. So you can now access higher states of consciousness in any now moment quite easily. But we also have free will. And so with free will, we have the ability to stay in old patterns. We can choose, based on free will, to stay in old narratives, old beliefs, old behaviors. So even if the body has shifted, even if we're holding higher states of consciousness, we still get to choose. And because we have experienced ourselves for a very long time in these old patterns, and because anchoring higher states of consciousness in an expedited fashion, which is what we did in 2020, can feel almost like a miracle. Like, is this really true? Am I really capable of feeling this? Am I really capable of accepting this? Am I really capable of allowing myself to have this? Being new relationships, abundance, new partnerships, new jobs, right? It's all available right now to us. New ways of being is available to us right now. But a lot of what stops us from stepping into and being in these higher states is not that we aren't holding it in the body. It's that we are used to being in these older states of consciousness, these programmed states. And so for a lot of us right now, there's this adjustment period. Okay. December was a very, very intense month. There was more light that came into your body and on the planet than ever before. And your body has been able to anchor it. But that also means that there was a lot of trauma that may have come up. There was a lot of relationships that were being asked to let go of. There was a lot of frustration, anger, irritability, fearfulness, like, oh my God, can I make these shifts and changes? Am I ready for it? Old behaviors, patterns, the stuff that we may or may not have been looking at and dealing with for many years. Massive stuff came up for us in December. And so now we're finding ourselves in these first couple of days, right? The frequency is still high. The light's still coming in. But now we're in this phase of like, okay, I've come out of this sort of high frequency tunnel. What am I feeling? What's going on with me? How am I seeing the world right now? How am I responding and reacting? What do I need? There's like a moment of like reflection almost. Because we have a tendency to go back to what is comfortable and familiar, older ways of being, right? And we are still going to continue to feel unresolved traumas or fragmented aspects of ourselves that are out of our bodies. Because one of the most potent things that this month did for us, December, and all of this year, 2020 did for us, is it allowed us to become embodied. And I think embodiment is one of the things that is the most challenging next to loving ourselves. And embodiment is recognizing all of the fragmented aspects of ourselves that are not in our body. So we're whole as a consciousness that dropped into the body. We're whole. We dropped in and incarnated as whole consciousness. But based on whatever human experiences we had, we fragmented out. We leaked out. Our consciousness leaked out. Too intense, leaking out. Too heavy, leaking out. Too traumatic, leaking out. And so what we did this past year is we pulled these fragmented aspects back in to become more embodied. Because what 2021 is going to ask us to do, and what we're sort of sitting with right now, is who am I? What does it feel like to be embodied? Am I embodied? And when I say who am I, it's not your name, it's not your personality, it's not your ego, it's the consciousness that chose to incarnate. It's the consciousness that unconditionally loves every aspect of your beingness. It's the consciousness that had a hard time dropping into the body because of how heavy it was. It's the consciousness that stepped out and said, ooh, too much, oop, too much, oop, too much. It's all coming back in. for the sole purpose of you being able to step forward and shift the entire human collective into a heaven on earth, into a higher frequency, higher dimension. So what we're in right now, many of us, millions of us shifted frequencies in the body. If you're listening to this right now, your frequency in the body that you're holding is very different than a month ago, 2 months ago, 6 months ago. It's very different. Things you're responding to is different. The way you react is different. Your lens is different. Even if it's subtle, it's different. And so you're adjusting. We're adjusting right now. Because in a couple of days, the fire is going to turn on underneath the pot. And we're going to have to go again. You see, all of 2020 was go. It was go, 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 which is survive, survive, survive. What's next? What's next? What's next? Survive. Learn how to be in this new state. Learn how to hold these higher states. We anchored. We did a badass job. We nailed it. And now we're spending a couple days right now like, okay, what the hell happened? What does it feel like to be in my body? Am I in my body? What else is coming up? So that we can move forward when the fire gets lit underneath that pot in about 4 days. And then it's go. And one of the messages that came through back in December was 2021 is not, we don't have time in 2021 to do the trauma work, to heal. It's now a miraculous now moment, right? So that we can stay focused on our mission, on our purpose, on our role, which is why embodiment is so important. Pulling in all those fragmented aspects. So that you can stand. It's like we went through the first quote unquote battle. We're like, dude, we nailed that. Even if you don't think you did, you nailed it. And now we're about to go into battle part 2. It's break time right now. We're drinking water, lemonade, Gatorade, eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. We're like chill right now. Figuring out what you gained, what you lost, what you learned, whatever. So that we can enter into part 2 of this battle, or part 2 of this game, or part 2 of whatever you want to call it. And it's all about remembering who you are, why you're here, your purpose, your mission, your abilities. And practicing over and over and over again all the things that you learned in 2020. So what did 1221 do? What did that portal do? It showed you how you have expectations and attachments. It showed you that when you have expectations and attachments, there's always suffering and judgment. And perhaps it showed you to not do that in 2021. Stay present as much as possible. I'll tell you one thing about 2021. The more present we can be, the easier it is to go through it, because we're going to be jumping timelines over and over and over and over and over. And one of the questions that came in was, can you explain jumping timelines again, right? What is jumping timelines? The easiest way to understand timelines is probabilities based on frequency. Probabilities based on frequency. So if a human collective is holding a frequency of 3.37, then there are an infinite amount of experiences and probabilities that are going to reflect that same frequency, 3.37. Experiences, opportunities, events, etc. If the human collective shifts to a 3.7 all of a sudden, right? They just do a jolt. Then their reality, the human collective's reality, shifts that timeline. It shifts into new probabilities based on that new frequency. So the entire experience externally is now going to reflect back the human collective's frequency. It's not going to reflect back a 3.37. It's now going to reflect back a 3.6, or whatever the frequency is of the human collective. And so that which could have occurred and could have happened at 3.37 is no longer going to occur, because it's no longer matching the frequency of the human collective. The human collective is now at a 3.7. So all the external experiences are going to reflect that. It's physics. It's the same thing with your own body. your timelines are going to shift as your body shifts frequencies. The version of you holding a frequency of, let's say, 3.6, the 3.6 version of you is going to bring in all of these experiences, opportunities, relationships, perhaps, right? Whatever. When you jolt your body up, naturally, it happens, to a 3.9, let's say. Now, the reality that you're holding is vibrating out of 3.9. And so all that's coming back to you is 3.9 opportunities, 3.9 frequencies. That which was at a 3.6 doesn't vibrate at 3.9. So that relationship, that job, whatever that is, isn't going to jump with you. That is why when your body starts to move into these higher states, relationships don't resonate anymore, jobs don't resonate anymore, where you live doesn't resonate anymore, right? These things don't resonate because you're in a different timeline. But because we don't quite understand the quantum field and how this works yet, we oscillate between different timelines because we don't understand how to intend and create from a now moment new opportunities. So we're stuck in an old job that we don't resonate with, old relationships that we don't resonate with when our body's in a different frequency. So we're learning in 2021 how to recognize we're in higher frequencies, regardless of what you're feeling, and how to intend and create in a now moment from that higher frequency by choosing the timeline you want to be in. And by intending in that now moment what you want and who you want to be right then and there. And this is happening for the collective as well, right? The entire collective is shifting timelines over and over. And as a way shower, which is who you are, as a way shower, showing the way into these higher realms, into heaven on earth, you have to hold not only where we are, but where we're going, meaning the higher realms, the higher timelines, over and over and over again, because that pulls the collective up. It pulls the human collective up. You holding the higher frequencies pulls the human collective up. You holding that timeline that we're on, even if you can't see it yet because we're still oscillating between two timelines, pulls the human collective up. So it's imperative that we stay focused on the timeline that we know our bodies and the human collective is holding, even though there is a time-space continuum where it's going to take some time for the human collective to recognize that that which we were about to experience, we're no longer experiencing, which is what happened in December 14th, 15th, 16th. It didn't happen December 21st. We didn't jump a timeline December 21. We jumped it before that. Because we're badass as a human collective. So we jumped a really destructive timeline. So we're on a new timeline now. It's still going to have chaos. It's still going to have destruction. It's still going to have all the things that we have to dismantle, the lower consciousnesses, but it's not going to be as intense. And so all of this is going to start to unravel around January 6th, January 5th, January 6th. We're going to start to see it all again. The game's going to start to push play again. We're going to put the little quarter in the jukebox and we're going to push play and off we go. So know that it's good where we're at. No matter what comes down the pipe, it's good. Your job is to hold that higher state. Your job is to recognize it's all good. We got this. It's all good. We got this. It's all good. We got this. Continuing to jump up, continuing to jump up, continuing. Not buying into that lower timeline that lower states of consciousness systems want to pull us into. Right? Because it's not true. It's just not true. So we'll start to physically see the more of the dismantling of these systems more and more. In 2021, 2022, 2023, but we're actually going to see our efforts making a difference. You realize, you guys, we just got started. So there is so much that we're going to start to see. We're going to start to see our efforts making a massive difference. Here's a question. Do you see the future of humanity similar to the movie Avatar, where we can choose to live in a virtual and or physical reality? Well, when you start recognizing that it's actually a quantum space, a quantum reality, and you're always choosing your reality, you start to realize that the physical reality is real, and yet it is also an illusion, right? So it's a simulation. It's like you're creating this reality, but because we're in physicality, the way we create it is physical. When we start moving into higher states of consciousness, the first thing that you're going to start to recognize more and more is that you're shifting your nows, and you're shifting your reality now, and then now, and then now. So you're going to recognize when you start doing this that nothing stays the same anymore. Things are shifting just like this. Like your life is not mundane anymore. When you start moving into higher and higher states of consciousness and you start living in this now moment state. When I say mundane, I mean that there's something new in every now moment that you're experiencing, that you're seeing, that you're feeling, that you're being, right? There's a creativity that you have now. So is it going to be like Avatar, where it's physical and then virtual? I mean, I don't even know what that means, right? I mean, everything is energy. So will there be an opportunity to move down into a denser field and then move back up? Yeah. Will you have the opportunity to feel yourself moving in and out of different dimensional fields? Yeah. But it's going to take quite some time before you actually start feeling yourself shifting out of physicality. Okay, what else? Let's see. Is humanity going to beat this evil? Going to beat this evil plan? Yeah, humanity does. I always say this. We already did. So, I always look at this game that we're playing, this shift in human consciousness. I like to look at it as the movie, The Notebook, only because The Notebook is one of my all-time favorite movies. And I love the last scene of The Notebook, right? They're laying in bed, they died together, they're holding hands. No matter what part of the movie you go to, no matter how uncomfortable the scene may be or how beautiful the scene may be, that last scene is the last scene. It's an absolute. You can't delete that scene. It's the end. Where we're going is not the end. It's just the beginning. But where we are pulling humanity, what you're doing right now in physical form, okay, is an absolute. It happens. We're on the trajectory. It's like if someone were to pour water down a slide, right? You're going, and someone were to say, well, yeah, but how do you know that water is going to hit the ground? How do you know that? What if it just stops? It's like, it's impossible. The way water works and the way water works with gravity and physicality is it goes down. It gets pulled down. It's the same thing with what we're doing right now with what we call ascension. We have hit a moment in energetic frequencies for the human collective where there is a trajectory now where we won't stop, be slowed down, or be pulled back. So we're on the trajectory. It's an absolute. It's just a matter of what are the scenes that we're going to have to go through to get to the last scene. And when I say last scene, the last scene isn't the last scene of our human experience. It's really just the beginning of heaven on earth. But I like to scene maybe 5D consciousness where we're all anchored in it. Heaven on earth where everything is unified. Our lifetime, but I think we can. I think we can do it. So it's an absolute. Do we crumble systems? Yeah. I think it's important in 2021 to start to recognize that it's not individual people that we are crumbling. It's entire energetic consciousnesses. It's systems. And I've said this at the beginning back in March. This isn't about individual humans. This is about entire systems of consciousness called fear, greed, manipulation, mind control. What else? What am I missing? That's what we are collapsing. So if you focus on, oh my God, we've got to beat this person, we got to bring this person down, you can do that, but it's much bigger than a person. It is an entire consciousness, right? So you think about the cabal or the deep state or the Illuminati, if you are learning about them or reading about them. They're individuals, they're humans, they're walking around, they're holding the consciousness that's part of a large system of consciousness that we're collapsing. But there are also tons of humans walking around that hold that same consciousness, and we're collapsing it within them. So we're not going after them and destroying them, those humans. We're collapsing the energy that's within them that they're being in, right? So it's not available anymore in the collective. And the way you collapse the systems that these humans are being in is you raise the frequency of the entire human earth plane. And as soon as you raise the frequency of the entire human earth plane, those lower consciousnesses are not available. Remember when you jump timelines, this is how physics works. If you are in a vibration, okay, let's say you're in a 3.7 vibration, there's only certain vibrations that can match that and can be a part of that can experience that. So if you're vibrating at a specific frequency, only that which is vibrating with it can be experienced. Now there's a spectrum, right? But there comes a time when you're vibrating high enough that this spectrum can't match it. It can't be there. It can't be experienced. And so what we're doing is we're raising the entire human collective's consciousness high enough where these systems, people, whatever you want to call it, won't be able to experience the consciousnesses that they've been experiencing. Greed, fear, manipulation, chaos, murder, whatever it is, right? These consciousnesses are not going to be able to be held where we're taking the human collective, so they dissolve. But the first way that we start to see this, right, is that we start shining, we start waking up, we start holding higher states, we start to move. And because we're bringing the awareness, because we're shining light, because we're holding higher states of consciousness, we get brighter. And the lower states of consciousness, the systems, whatever you want to call it, the media, the cabal, the deep state, pharmaceutical companies, I don't care what you name it, doesn't matter. The political system, the monetary system, the educational system, these are all systems, many of which are held in consciousnesses that we call fear, greed, manipulation, mind control, etc. Control, right? They're going to start to get free. They're going to start to get louder because they're being disrupted. How are they being disrupted? Humanity is starting to shift out of them. And so they're starting to rumble. They're starting to get louder. They're starting to say, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's going on? I'm being seen. Hold on a second. I'm being seen. Hold on a second. You're not supposed to see me like this. You're not supposed to wake up. You're not supposed to feel this. And we're like, oh, no, we are. And we're starting to raise the frequency of the earth, raise the frequency of the earth. And this is getting louder and louder because it's being dissolved. We're stepping out of those consciousnesses. This takes a very long time, though. This can take years. It doesn't happen overnight. So it's not that we're killing these people. It's not that we are burning them down, right? It's not, we are literally dismantling the systems by choosing different ways of being. And the more of us that choose different ways of being, we dismantle this. So we look at the systems that have been in place for a very long time that create fear and greed, manipulation, control, mind control, many others. We look at the systems that we've all been in. We see them from a different perspective as we start to shift and get brighter and brighter and brighter. We hear them get louder, trying to pull us back. And instead of fighting it or trying to destroy it or getting angry at it, you choose different. You step out of it. You hold the higher states and you choose differently now. You choose sovereignty. You choose your truth. You choose your knowingness. You choose you. And you remember that the more of us that do this in 2021, however that looks for you, it's going to look very different for a lot of us. Some of us, we're going to stand up and protest and say, no, no, no. Some of us are actually physically going to say no to whatever it is that's in front of us. Some of us are just going to hold higher states of consciousness over and over and over again. You know, some of us are going to teach it, whatever. But we're going to be louder. There's going to be an uprising, a louder noise, so to speak, because this is going to get louder. Okay, so it's not about, you want to imagine the humans that are holding these systems in their body, fear, greed, manipulation, control, and really in charge of the systems, in charge of the humans. Their bodies are holding the consciousnesses that we're dismantling. And killing them or destroying their bodies is not what we do, right? We shift the frequency of an entire collective. We shift the frequency of a planet so that the consciousness in their body can't exist anymore. It dissolves. They choose. They start to shift out of it as well. Or they do their best to stay in the lower states, and we just rise above it. And we pull the human collective, and these systems crumble. One of the questions that was asked in the Q&A today was, what's it going to look like? How are these systems going to collapse? And when I say systems, I want you to imagine every system that we have here: media, political, environmental, scientific, government, monetary, the banking system. These are all systems that have created our reality, that have held us in place. And these systems are held in a third dimensional paradigm. And most of these systems are controlled by humans that are holding large amounts of consciousness we would call control, greed, fear, manipulation. Just is. No big deal. Nothing to be afraid of. It's how it works. And so when these systems start to collapse, the first thing we're going to start to notice is that we're no longer going to want to be a part of those systems. So the way that we educate our children is going to change. Welcome to COVID, right? The way that we see our government is going to change. Welcome to COVID. The way we see the media is going to change. Welcome to COVID. And when I say welcome to COVID, what I mean is, what did you just see this past year? What systems did you start to see start collapsing? Right? The scientific community, we're going to start to step out of it. Right? The monetary system, it's going to take a little bit longer, but we're going to start to step out of a monetary system that has enslaved us so that we are in abundance. It's going to be very different, right? These systems are going to take, religion is a system. It's going to start to be dismantled. And what we're stepping into is freedom and sovereignty, not enslavement and mind control. So there's nothing wrong with recognizing that it's very possible humanity has been enslaved by these consciousnesses. So what? Big deal, right? If we make it this like, no, we can't think about that. We can't talk about that. We can't look at that. It's like, well, that is what's happened. It's not a big deal. It's part of the human journey. By the way, ps.com, you knew all of this before you dropped into the body. You knew all of it. Nothing wrong with it, right? So it's like, if you get triggered by this idea that we've been enslaved, ask yourself why. Because there's nothing wrong with it. Because that's what we're shifting. That's why we're here. If we weren't enslaved, pretty much probably wouldn't be here, because we wouldn't be doing anything. Right? So we have to see that which we came here to shift. We have to see it. What did I come into the human body to do again? Oh yeah, notice that the entire human collective has been enslaved. has been brainwashed, has been controlled, manipulated. Oh, that's right. Their light's been dimmed, right? So it's okay. And the systems are going to slowly start to shift by the human having to choose different systems, having to put our kids in different schools or no schools at all, no longer maybe trusting what your physicians are telling you, right? It doesn't feel good, but it might happen. The political system, we may no longer trust it. We may be like, what the heck is going on with our political systems around the world? Everything seems chaotic and everything seems like it's going, like breaking down. Yeah, because there's new systems that are going to be built. So it's going to take some time, but it's a step-by-step baby process. It's a baby step process. Just like your hair growing, just like the entire ascension process has been baby steps, right? It doesn't happen overnight. It's impossible. It's too big. The systems are too big. So we're going to see it slowly breaking down. So pay attention, right? In the next now moments of 2021, pay attention to how you're being asked to choose differently. What are you being confronted with, right? What are you being shown that you have to make a choice with? Right. One of the questions that also came in today was what schools am I going to be? What's the best school for my children? And if it doesn't exist, how can we find like-minded parents and experts that can come together and make it happen? Beautiful question. This is creating New Earth Now. Asking that question, what's the best schooling for my children? 2 years ago, 1 year ago, this question may never have been asked. But it's being asked now because we are breaking down systems and we are stepping into higher states of consciousness. So now we have to start to ask ourselves, what is the best schooling for my child? That's what is so genius and beautiful about COVID, even though it hasn't been a beautiful thing for a lot of people. And I completely honor that. I honor the destruction that it caused. But it also allowed us to begin to break up the systems. And so this is really about coming together in new ways through community. Maybe starting these new systems yourself, maybe learning how to connect to others in your community and start new systems. We have to build it. We have to build these systems, not the people that have been building them for hundreds of years, because they will only build it based on their consciousness. And they're not in the same consciousness that we are. So we have to now step up. That's why when I did that video like a week ago, I said 2021 is all about action. It's about uprising and taking action and doing, right? This is part of it, right? Maybe you're going to create a homeschooling program and all the kids in your community that resonate with that are going to start to be homeschooled. I don't know. Maybe you're going to start a community where you're not going to go to grocery stores anymore, right? And you're going to start to build something of your own in some town. I don't know, but this is what's starting to happen. Maybe you're in a city and you can't move, but you're going to start to create some sort of community where you guys come together and you support each other and you learn how to navigate what's coming in the next now moments. And that's how you start building community. And that's how you start building new ways of regulating yourselves in this breakdown. And you start to build new systems, right? We are learning, and this is a doozy, this is a hard one for us, but we are learning how to let go of putting our faith and putting our trust in systems and in people that we have put our trust in for a very long time. And it's not that we need to look at these people or look at these systems as bad. It's not bad. It's freaking beautiful. Thank God it's happening. Thank God there is this dark and evil, because that's the only reason I'm here. So I got to be like, yeah, this is what's happening. Yeah, there's evil. Yeah, there's all this dark. Yep. That's why I'm here. No big surprise. Right? So to get to To get angry and to be upset is almost like, well, are you forgetting why you're here? It's like, hell yeah, I'm seeing it. Hell yeah, this is happening. Abso-freaking-lutely. Yep. 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 Oh God, this isn't going to be as easy as I probably thought it was going to be. But okay, more dark. Awesome. More dark. More evil. Awesome. More evil for us to collapse. This is what we're here to do. Unfortunately or fortunately, this just depends on how you look at it. So it's not bad. It's not wrong. It's consciousness that's in a lower frequency than where we are bringing the entire human collective. It feels bad. It feels wrong. It feels nasty. That's how it feels because we're physical. And because we're physical, we feel consciousness on a very intense way, emotionally, mentally, in the body, we feel it. But just because we feel it as bad, wrong, evil, etc., doesn't mean it actually is. It just means that that's the frame we're using in this physical reality. We have got to start to look at this as perfection, as opposed to, oh shit, here comes something else. Or, oh my God, here comes something worse. We have to see something worse. We have to see, oh shit, here it comes again. We have to. That's the only way you break it down. That's the only way you collapse it. That's the only way you shift an entire human collective. Think about your own clearing, right? You have to see that which has been hidden in the dark that you never wanted to see. That's what we're doing. How is it 1:46 and I've answered like 2 questions? How is this possible? I have no idea what just happened. Seriously, this is bizarre. Okay. I would like to ask if it's true that our star families or Galactic Federation comes really soon to meet us here on Earth. A lot of questions about when they're going to show themselves. When are they going to show themselves? Listen, I don't know, but it's going to be timed, meaning it's going to be in divine timing. It's not going to be when we think we're ready. There is a lot that I did a video that I posted on Facebook and Instagram. I actually didn't post it on YouTube. I'll post it up on YouTube. But there are 3 aspects of our experience that kind of dictate when we're going to start to see these higher dimensional light beings. One of them is our physical frequency. The other is our ability to hold this awareness, like, oh, here comes these beings, here they are in front of us, and not having a traumatic response or a break or a PTSD or a holy shit, right? You understand that they feel frequency in a way that you don't. So if you have thoughts, they feel your thoughts. If you have holy shit, freak out energy, they feel your freak out energy. If you have fear, they feel your fear. It's disruptive to their system. I'm not talking about extraterrestrial beings that are in a 4th and 5th dimensional field that are very physical, that are on other planets. Okay, they're already coming to Earth. They're already here with us. People have seen them. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about higher dimensional light beings in a 6th, 7th, 8th, and beyond frequency that don't have the physical structures that many of us think they have. And they feel energy. If our bodies are not in a high enough frequency, it is disruptive to their system. They can't be in the same field as us, which is why many of you, when you see them, or if you see them, it's when you're in somewhat of a meditative state, somewhat of a dream state, coming in and out of sleep. You see them in your bedrooms, you see them in your room, you see them maybe if you see them, it's in a very meditative state, like you're in a very grounded, quiet, embodied state. And then the third reason is they have to make sure that when they start engaging with us, that the humans that are holding those lower consciousnesses we talked about, that there's more of our light than of that lower consciousness, so that we can hold the engagement with these beings and not allow the humans with these lower consciousnesses to interfere, to block, to dismantle, discredit, etc. the systems that have been in place for a long time, we can call them the elite, we can call them the cabal, the Illuminati, the deep state. It doesn't matter what names you use. They're humans that have been in control. They will absolutely, unequivocally stop any sort of connection that we will have with higher dimensional light beings. That's why I always say, you know, if the media is telling you that there's ETs and et cetera, start to question what's really going on, because unfortunately, you know, a lot of these are preparations for some sort of false flag. So these higher dimensional light beings, the Palladians, the Sirians, the Arcturians, the Lyrans, the Andromedas, whatever names, the hybrids that are in these higher states, they're not going to come down until there's enough of us that are in a high enough frequency that if these humans try to instigate some sort of event or experience, we will be able to hold ourselves through it. Okay? So it's much more complicated than just like, how come they're not here? We're ready for them. So many people have already seen them. It's a little bit more complex than that. Okay, so let's see. What's another question? Let's see. Is it possible to neutralize the field of vaccines? From a higher vibration, everything is neutral, of not damaging anyone. It can change it if we feel. Yeah. So the vaccine conversation is really, it's complex and it's layered, the vaccine conversation. But on one level, your body is holding high enough frequencies right now that if you know with 100% certainty that your body can dissolve anything that comes into it, whether it's 5G, whether it's chemtrails, whether it's water from the faucet, whether it's pesticides from your food, or whether it's stuff that's inside a vaccine. If you know that your body is all good, it's legit, right? It's going to be all good. Then because you have enough light, you have enough energy, high frequency energy that can literally dissolve it. If you know that, and that's your intention, and you hold that, it doesn't matter what comes in from the vaccine. That's truth. That's physics. That's energy. Most of us can't hold that reality yet. That's the problem that we're in right now. Most of us can't remember that, and we can't know it with 100% certainty. And this is the test that I always do with certainty, right? Well, how do you know that you know? You just want to ask yourself the question of like, how do you know what your name is? Or how do you know what address you live in? Or how do you know your child's name, right? You just know. It's 100% certainty. It's an absolute knowingness. If you can have that around the knowingness of your light and your body, then it won't matter if you are forced to take a vaccine or if you have to take the vaccine, right? So yeah, the question of, can you neutralize it? Of course, you can neutralize anything. You can neutralize 5G, you can neutralize chemtrails, you can neutralize anything that comes into your body, 1000%. You can also heal anything in your body. But it's our thoughts, it's our beliefs that block it, that don't allow it to be our reality. But we will start to be forced to hold that reality. And we can. We absolutely can. And in the meantime, what the vaccine is teaching us as well is sovereignty, free will. To choose what we want to experience, right? And recognizing that, and when you choose your reality, when you have free will, you get to choose how you want to experience getting the vaccine or not getting the vaccine. So the second layer below the layer of I'm a high frequency light being and I can dismantle anything coming into my body, the layer below that is, okay, well, if I have to take it to keep my job, or if I have to take it for this and that, I'm going to hold the highest outcome for myself and my body. So now you're choosing a timeline. If you can't hold that your light can collapse it and dissolve it and neutralize it, then can you hold the higher if I take it, I'll be okay? Or are you holding the timeline of, if I take it, I'm going to go to hell in a handbasket and my DNA is going to be changed and I'm going to get really sick, right? Or are you holding the timeline of, I'm all good, take the vaccine, I don't care, I'm not playing in that timeline. I'm not playing in the timeline of ... The reality, the layering below that layer, which is a very third dimension, there's realities about the vaccines, you know, that they're not that good. This vaccine isn't even really a vaccine, right? Maybe there's stuff in the vaccine that's never been in any other vaccines before. Maybe there's some sort of deep state sort of control mechanism that's been created to allow them to create this vaccine, right? That's a very third dimensional physical reality around vaccines, right? What is it? What's inside this one? What is it going to do? What is it not going to do? Right? Educating yourselves on that, understanding it. If I'm believing it. I'm not believing it. It resonates. It doesn't resonate. Where am I in all this? Right? Layer one, layer two. Okay. Sovereignty. What am I choosing? Am I choosing to take it? Am I choosing not to take it? If I choose to take it, what does that mean? If I choose not to, right? On that same level too, if I have to take it because I need to work to make money, can I hold the higher timeline that I'm good? I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good, 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 right? Third layering is, it doesn't matter because my light is higher than anything. It'll dissolve it, which is true no matter what, with everything. Those are the three layers of sort of the vaccine that I see right now. The key is to not hold fear. The key is to try not to hold fear around it. And to start to look at why is it in our reality right now, right? Remembering that you came into physicality to incarnate for the sole purpose of shifting an entire human collective from a lower state of consciousness to a higher state of consciousness. So throw away the vaccine dilemma, throw away the vaccine, issues that we're all having around it, right? I incarnated into physical body as a higher dimensional consciousness in order to shift an entire human collective from a lower state to a higher state. One of the lower states is control. Okay, so there's going to be all these ways in which I'm going to watch myself being controlled. Okay. And in that process, I'm going to watch myself start to choose free will and sovereignty, choice. Okay. Oh, here comes a vaccine. Okay, I'm dismantling control in an entire human collective based on systems that use it. Oh, look, here comes a vaccine. Cool. It's not really about the narrative of the vaccine. It's about control, the consciousness. And it's quite simple. When you break it down into just consciousness, the narrative around it doesn't matter. I'm breaking up control, manipulation, right? So here comes this vaccine that now the human collective is sort of being told they have to take in order to have their freedoms back based on narratives. What happened to free will? What happened to choice? Is it possible we never had it as a human collective and this is what we are stepping into and out of? And then it becomes not a tit for tat, not a I'm right, you're wrong, not a good or a bad. It becomes, oh, this is what it looks like when you shift an entire human collective. Do you see how it takes it away from a very personal thing and it becomes a collective thing? And we're going to continue to see this. So on level one, sure, we're going to learn things or not resonate with what we're learning or not resonate with what's coming through. Holding it, not holding it, getting mad, getting triggered, right? We're going to see this very physical aspect of control. Boom, we may experience some control because we don't really have a choice, even we always have a choice, right? But we also want to honor the human experience and honor third dimensional reality. So there may be a moment where you have to, so to speak. So then you start to choose timelines. If you hold fear around getting a vaccine, then you're going to allow that vaccine to have control and power over you. If you choose to know that all is well, all is well, all is well, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. This is just an experience. Let's get it over with. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. That's the timeline. Then you're all good. This is what it means when in the very beginning of this live, I said that many of us don't realize that we've shifted into higher states of consciousness. When you shift into higher states of consciousness, you can literally create your reality based on a belief, based on a timeline. But see, a lot of you are going to say, well, that's just nonsense. I'm not going to, how can I just tell myself that I'm all good when a vaccine is put into my arm? That doesn't make any sense. That's magic. That's BS. Okay. Or it's not. How are you ever going to believe that your light can dismantle anything if you don't believe that your beliefs choose your reality? We got to start somewhere. And everything that's coming at us is an opportunity to start. It's never been about the actual vaccine. It's always been about the consciousnesses behind it. Greed, control, manipulation, fear. Always. So yeah, you can blame it on people. You can blame it on corporations and this and that. But it's about the consciousness. That's what it's about. And it's about learning. And it's why you're here. You know, our guides, our family of light, these higher dimensional light beings, they look at us and they love us so much because they're like, you guys just kind of forgot. Like, you're okay. You're okay. What's happening is perfect. It's perfect. It's beyond perfect. We don't like to hear that because it doesn't feel perfect. It couldn't be going any more perfectly. And it's going slow enough that we have the ability to manage it. Okay, so it's going slow enough that we have the ability to manage it. 2021 is going to go real fast, though. All right, let's do another question. I do want to say, with regards to the vaccine and the mandation of it, that the timeline that we jumped was a massive timeline around the vaccine. Other things as well, but it was a lot around what we were about to go through and go down politically and with the vaccine and vaccines. So it isn't going to be as bad as the initial experience of the vaccine coming into our reality, the COVID vaccine. When the initial COVID vaccine got introduced into our reality, there was a timeline that we were going to be experiencing it with much more of a powerful mandation of it around the world. And it's not going to unravel that way. So we just have to watch 2021 and watch how we navigate it and watch what we choose and watch what we believe. And just watch that fear, watch that control, watch that manipulation. It's going to shift. It's already shifting. It's consciousness. It's shifting. Will we begin to see the financial reset this year? I think it's going to start. I get no information about it, but I feel like it's going to start this year. I think that new ways of using the new ways of looking at our financial system is going to start. I don't believe that we're going to go into some sort of financial collapse at all. But because I don't believe that the ascension process is meant to destroy us. I don't believe that we're holding frequencies where we're going to have massive cataclysmic events happen. I don't believe it. I haven't seen it happen thus far. It's not going to happen. All right. I just don't believe it. We're holding too high of a frequency for those things. So I don't think we're going to go into some famine space, right? Where there's no food, there's no water. I don't believe that at all. Do you think in the future there'll be two timelines permanently? There will be two timelines for a very long time. So we've split. There are two timelines right now, active, on, able to be participated in. And it shifted around, like I said, the 14th of December 15th. And so we're going to be watching ourselves go back and forth between these two timelines. If you want to call it 5D or 3D, that's fine. But this isn't where we're landing, right? These two timelines, this is not where we're landing. This is what we've anchored. We're going to continue to go, continue to go, continue to go, okay? So, but there are two timelines that are existing. I mean, first of all, in the quantum field, there's an infinite amount of timelines. So to even say this is kind of ridiculous. But what I'm referring to is what has the human collective anchored into on a vibrational level or a frequency level. There's two timelines that the human collective has anchored and is experiencing in the now. One's of a higher frequency. Okay. One is freedom, sovereignty, choice, right? The other one is a lower frequency, control, manipulation, greed, fear, etc. Many of us have been stepping into this over and over, and we've pulled the collective into it while the collective is still here. This is why it's so important to hold this over and over and over again. And this will continue. And this timeline that we just jumped, it's going to continue. It's going to continue. It's going to continue. This third dimensional lower timeline is going to stay for quite some time. It's always a choice. Eventually, this third dimensional timeline, this third dimensional reality, this third dimensional physicality will dissolve. Eventually, be a very long time. So it's going to be a choice for a very long time. It's not like the 3D experience is gone. It just dissolves. We don't see it anymore. It's not going to happen. It's going to be a choice for a very long time, which is why what we're learning right now is all about choice. Choice, choice, choice. You are not a victim. You are choosing in every now moment everything that you're experiencing, everything. Do all beings who pass away automatically get incarnated back into the system? I have a different belief around the karmic cycle of reincarnation. I don't believe that any of us are forced to reincarnate. And I'll tell you why I hold that belief, besides the fact that I was shown it. When you exit out of physicality, you're in a much higher state of consciousness where you are no longer held in the confines of this matrix. You're out of the matrix. You're out of karma. You're out of reincarnation. You're out of past lives. You're out of DNA. You're out of this physical illusion. The second you exit out of the body, the rules, the beliefs, the ways of being that are held in this dimensional field, including a karmic cycle, doesn't exist when you exit out of the third dimensional matrix and field. And so when you exit out of it, you are in free will and you're choosing. No matter what consciousness that you may be, whether you're a fifth dimensional being, a 20th dimensional being, an angelic being, a consciousness that's just consciousness and light, right? It doesn't matter. We're in a matrix that holds beliefs, programs, ways of being, including karma. And this type of karmic cycle is a program, it's a paradigm within this. There's no such thing as being forced to do anything in the quantum field. It doesn't make sense. So, do I believe that you are in some sort of karmic cycle where you have to continue to reincarnate, that you've gotten trapped? No. Unless that's a system that you're choosing to play in. You're like, I'm going to play in this system that the humans love called, karmic cycles. I don't know why a being would do that, but maybe. When you start understanding consciousness, karmic cycles don't make sense. Because the second you step out of a matrix that doesn't understand free will, you start to understand free will. You're back in free will again. And free will is a universal law. It's abided by all beings, by all consciousnesses. So it's never made sense to me that a consciousness would be forced to come back into human body. It doesn't resonate or make any sense on a physics level, on an energetic level. Nobody's trapped. It's a choice. Think about what we're learning right now as we step into higher states of consciousness. Choice and free will, which is sovereignty. Why would that not exist when you leave the body? Do you see an ending to these masks? Honestly, I do see an ending. I think if we choose what we want, if we choose our reality, we can end it a lot sooner. If we believe storylines and narratives that are based in fear, then it's going to be a lot longer. So it just kind of depends on what we do this year and how and what we're choosing. But there's an end to it. It's just a matter of when. Let's do one more. Some of these questions I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they're asking. Okay, well, let's see. I'm trying to find a question that... Trying to find a new question. When are we in the golden age? I mean, technically we're in the golden age in this now moment. We just have to hold that reality and hold that awareness. It's really about holding that awareness. How do you deal with abandonment? Well, abandonment is typically, it's a trauma, and it's a trauma held in the cells. It's a trauma held perhaps in ancestral lines. So it's a consciousness that's held in our cells if you've experienced it. One of the ways that we heal or clear out trauma. So imagine that your light comes in, right? Your light comes into your body as you incarnate, and then based on experiences, it fragments out, right? So if you have abandonment in your life as a young child, there's aspects of your light that are going to jump out because of the pain of it, because of experiencing it, because of how unsafe you feel, et cetera, you being the consciousness. So the way that you start to heal any traumas is that you start to pull back in the fragmented aspects of yourself. So you tap into that trauma, you tap into that abandonment. You look at what happened to you in that now moment. Did you blame yourself? Right? Where did it stem from? When did you first originally experience abandonment? How old were you? Who did it to you? How did you feel? Who'd you blame? The people that did it to you, did they have it happen to them? Is it an ancestral thing? And in that moment when it happened to you, was there an aspect of you that jolted out of the body? So now there's a fragmented aspect of you. And if so, can you pull that fragmented aspect back in by demanding, by speaking that fragmented aspect is back in the body, that you're safe, that you're okay, that was a human experience. It's not the light of who you are. It's not who you are. Pulling my light back in, embodying myself, empowering myself. It is a human experience I had with whatever humans that created it. Starting to look at traumas differently, right? Not something that we have to really unravel for months and weeks and days, but something that we just look at as a now moment that we had. And a fragmented aspect of us left, and we're just going to pull that fragmented aspect back in. And we're going to look at what that trauma was. The moment it happened, jolted out, pull that light back in, embody. Remember sovereignty. Right? Lots of ways to do it. But it's a lot of what we've been dealing with, I think. Okay, I think I'm done. Trump's not saving the children. We're saving the children. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that are saving children, but it's not just the children. There's a lot of systems that are breaking down, and the sex trafficking, the satanic rituals, the pedophilia that is rampant across the world, rampant in the United States, and very much both physically underground and figuratively underground. There are many people that are taking it down. Does Trump know about it? Yeah. Is he assisting? Yeah. But so are thousands and thousands of others. There's many groups and systems and people, organizations that are assisting right now. So, that's one of the systems that is really heavy and very much underground. That's going to be very challenging for humans to acknowledge and hold and look at. But it's going to start to come up in 2021. There's a lot that is going to start to come up in 2021, which is why it's really important to not, is to look at what's coming up as an opportunity and a gift to shift, right? And that this is why you're here, that there's nothing to be afraid of and there's nothing to run from, right? Instead of looking at it in a very physical sort of human lens, look at it also from a higher perspective lens. Well, this is why I'm here. Of course, this is going to happen. Right? You're detaching from the very kind of personalization of it, and you're looking at it from that larger perspective, higher consciousness that you are. I mean, I think one of the things that we have to start to recognize, and that a lot of us are recognizing as well, is that this is a collective effort, right? There's not one individual that's doing it. There's not one individual that's going to save us. There's not even a small group of people that are going to save us. We're actually doing it. I mean, one of the things that my guide showed me right before, I think it was like December 29th, December 30th, I asked them for a message. And what they said to me is, they didn't say, oh, these people in the political system are going to save you guys. Oh, this system over here is going to save you. Or, oh, this group of people are going to save you guys. Don't worry, you're all good. Not that they didn't say that. What they said was, you guys are doing it. You, the humans that have gone through all the trauma, are doing it. The humans that have been struggling this past year, trying to figure out how to navigate masks or no masks, vaccine, no vaccine, COVID, no COVID, you are the ones that are doing this. We're the large collective that's doing it, not the small group that we look up to and say, oh my God, they're doing such a great job. No, we're doing it. And now more than ever in 2021, you and I are the ones that need to recognize the power that we have, who we are, our ability to shift. Who cares who's in power? That plays no part in our ability to stand strong and firm and loud and loving and bright as we navigate what is coming. Right? It's us, they said. And they said it's going to get more obvious that it's you guys doing this and no one else. And sure, are there people in power that are part of your tribe, that are on the front lines with all of you? Absolutely. Is that hard for people to hold? Absolutely. But there are all kinds of people on the front lines with us. Millions that are on the front lines breaking down these systems. We have got to stop making this a good, bad, right, wrong. You're on the right side, you're on the wrong side. We're all human. We all have trauma. We all have personalities. We all have done good things and we've all done bad things. All of us. Every light worker and way shower has done bad things and good things in their life. Who are we to judge any other way shower on this earth plane? Just because they don't look the way you want them to look, they don't act the way you want them to act. We don't have time anymore for that. This is about all of us standing up in however that feels right to us going forward, whether that is just literally holding higher states of consciousness, or whether that is speaking up, acting out, doing whatever you need to do. But it's going to become more apparent that we are rising, that we are getting stronger, that we are getting louder in a very beautiful way, in a very harmonic, amazing, beautiful tone. We're going to start making music on this earth plane that is going to shut down and quiet the very small percentage of humans that have been in control for a very long time. And it's going to be magic, absolute magic. It's going to make a beautiful song. We're all going to make a beautiful song together. It's just going to be quite the ride. So with that, a little bit of a different Q&A, but it felt good. I liked it. Pass this along if you know of anyone that would resonate with the messages. What else can I offer you guys? I don't know. I think that's it. I'm uploading my walk-in video, so it'll be up in about 2 hours. I did a video, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, about 5:30, 6 p.m. I did a video on walk-ins, and so that's going to be up in a couple of hours. And yeah, what a gift to be here with you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Literally, from the bottom of like my deepest beingness, thank you for being here with me. Thank you for incarnating and going through what you went through. Thank you for just showing freaking up, showing up. just showing up and looking at everything, right? Navigating this insane shift in consciousness. And please don't forget, we do it. This is the best show right now. This is the time to be here. This is it. This is it. This is why you're here. In all of your frustration and sadness and depression and anger and rage and confusion and everything that you are experiencing in the human physicality, this is why you're here. And it's only going to get better. The best is yet to come. I promise you. And we just started. We just started. And we rock it. We are badass light workers, way showers, starseeds, whatever word you want to use. We're freaking amazing. We're amazing. We're nailing it. I promise you. Don't buy into anything that the fear-based narratives are telling you. Don't do it. Unless it feels good. Don't do it. It's not real. It's not true. Choose the higher timeline. We're already in it. We already shifted to it. And let's soar. Let's freaking soar through 2021 with all the ups and downs we may feel. They've got nothing on us, you guys. Nothing. Nothing, I promise you. It's going to be a magical ride. We got this. I love you guys so much. See you next time.